Honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense.
They say many garbage things.
You don't know what you're going to get.
Melodrama upon melodrama!
This is a totally
Shameful, disgraceful piece of nonsense!
Because he was miles off it yesterday.
You'll learn a lot more if you listen rather than talk all
Plenty
the
of
time.
time, no problem.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a No Nonsense podcast. We're back again with more exciting transfer news, transfer talk. I finally saw pictures of Gyökeres, Will, which does signal the point where I'm gonna have to start calling him Gyökeres instead of Gyökeres, because now it's real. Now I just sound like an idiot. If someone was to tune in and he was saying Gyökeres, they'd be like, "What? Does he actually think he's called Gyökeres?" I know it's a fun word to say, but it is the man's name. I've also decided, Will, that I've run the fence with this for a while. I'm going to start saying Bruno Hernandes.
Oh, now you've committed.
It's just, if he was a co-worker and I was calling him Hernandez, and then he had, look, not for nothing, it's Hernandes, I wouldn't go, I don't know, I'm probably just going to keep saying Hernandez because that's what I know.
That's annoying, yeah. That's too hard for me.
But it's just when you've been saying Hernandez and you start saying Hernandes, I feel a bit of a poser, as if like I speak Portuguese, which I don't. It's like you don't need to we all know what you're talking about. If you say, "Who's Hernandez?" But I'm just going to do it because, again, if I was face to face with him and he asked me nicely, I would say, "Yeah, no problem, of course." I'm sorry I've been pronouncing your name wrong. So, yeah, it's going to be Gyökeres. It's going to be Hernandes.
Imbermo. I'm not even sure about him yet.
Oh, is there an R in Imbermo?
I don't know how it's. I've heard commentators say Imbermo. I used to say Imbuemo, and I've heard him say Imbumo. So
Imbumo, yeah.
Imbumo, I think, is the one.
Because there was one, Dimitri Payet. Not that hard to say. Not that big a deal. But when you read it, it was Payet. And commentators just say Payet. I mean, at one time, when he scored that unbelievable free kick, I think he said, "We'll call him Payet today."
Yeah. So thank you.
He's earned the right to have his name pronounced correctly because he scored a good goal. Like, before that, I'm not going to call you by your real name. Like, that is disrespectful. Like, a lot of things are called disrespectful. That is quite disrespectful. Like, I'm not going to call you by your proper name because I don't think you're good enough. Yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah. It's funny too because I think that is something we're bad at. Of like I say, we'll just get names wrong, and sometimes commentators will say it correctly. We'll be like, "That sounds dumb. Why you say it like that?" But at the same time, anytime you see a video of like an American or English people trying to pronounce Irish names, like reading them,
yes,
that is infuriating. So it's like, well, I'm no better than them.
Yeah, no, there's a bit of a double standard when someone tries to pronounce the word Siobhan.
Yeah,
you're make an effort. It's not that hard. Learn it. But Bruno Hernandes, I don't think so, pal. I think it's going to be Hernandez as long as I can. Juventus. A lot of people say Juventus.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Portugal.
Portugal. Yeah, Portugal. Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's like I saw the picture of Gyökeres in the car doing the scarf, and he's reading messages from other Arsenal players. The social media team's all over it. They've had this ready for weeks and weeks.
That's another thing. Fabrizio Romano does make the social media team's lives a lot easier because they know before the club has said anything to them now.
If I was a social media guy there or a PR person, I'd be saying, I'd say, yeah, work away on that. I feel like that's going to happen by the end of the summer. So don't commit too much time to it, but definitely don't ignore that. I think that from what I read on X here, Fabrizio reckons that we're going to sign him. So I trust him more than I trust the people above me. So make sure you get those Arsenal questions ready for him. Get the scarf in his size.
Make sure the scarf's not too big or not too small. Embarrassing.
So you can find his neck measurements online there. I'd say that'd be a good Friday project for you to do. Intern, find out what Gyökeres' neck measurements are. Get the correct scarf. Yeah, but there was this thing where he signs in stages. Man United signed Cunha earlier on in the summer. Not that Man United is maybe part of this conversation, but they did sign someone up front. Liverpool obviously signed Ekitike, which we talked about at length last week. No, not Ekitike.
Ekitike, yeah.
Ekitike. That's actually a fun name to say when you say it right.
Great,
Ekitike.
Yeah. Really good.
But it's kind of like, all right, well, I guess the Isak thing isn't happening then. I guess, it doesn't matter. And then out of nowhere, bombshell. I'm not kicking the ball till I get out of this place. You know, I'm downing tools.
One of the first ones I've ever seen in my life where I felt like I was on the Newcastle board. Because when I saw that, I was like, what are you talking about? Why now?
I don't know who Isak's representation is. Maybe they were like, look, just hold tight. They'll come for us. We don't want to seem desperate. That's how you get screwed. And by us, I mean me, the agent, who wants to get 10% of whatever you go for. And I think when the teams mentioned signed strikers, he was like, oh no, I'm going to have to force a move here. You know, I thought they were going to come for me. I think I'm going to have to do this myself. And it looks like kind of strange timing to me. I guess there's always the idea that he's just like trying to squeeze Newcastle for more money. But I would imagine he's on pretty good money in Newcastle.
Yeah, I would think so. And I would also think probably not that hard to squeeze a bit of extra wages out of Saudi Arabian owned Newcastle. You could probably just ask.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Again, I don't really understand PSR. I don't know what that is. I don't know if they are bound by that.
What does PSR stand for?
Pop quiz, hot shot. What does PSR stand for? Player sales revenue.
That sounds about right.
That's a good guess, I think. If you have a better guess than that, put it in the comments. Pop in the comments there.
Yeah,
we'll review some of the PSR acronym guesses. No cheating. Don't look up the acronym. It's not very funny. But you know, I don't know what it stands for. I don't know what it means. I don't know if the wages come into that, or is it just your revenue in terms of transfers and sponsorship. I don't know if the wages come into it. But I would imagine that's how they got him in the first place.
Yeah,
crazy wages. He was one of the hottest players around, and he goes to Newcastle, and everyone's like, yeah, of course, more money than he's ever seen written on a piece of paper. So I don't really feel it's like, oh, he's trying to get more money from Newcastle. I think again, what did we say last week about Morgan Gibbs White? What is every footballer's goal in 2025? How as little steps as possible to get to Real Madrid, you know?
Yeah, that is it. The end goal, yeah.
So where was he? Real Sociedad, I'm pretty sure?
Yeah, I think so.
I think he was there at some point. I don't know if he went from there to somewhere else before he went to Newcastle. But he goes to Newcastle, okay, they're in Champions League. They got a lot of money, we're getting there. It's obviously a bit harder these days with so many good teams in the Premier League and PSR and all the rest of it. Maybe he's thinking, all right, timeline, I thought we'd be like second or third season Champions League now. Are they in Champions League this year?
Ooh, where did they finish last year? Let's look that up. Another pop quiz.
It was Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle.
They might have been
City?
fifth.
It wasn't Tottenham, it was United.
They finished fifth. Yeah, they finished fifth. By a point and goal difference. That was all that separated them, Villa and Nottingham Forest.
Who was third?
Man City.
Man City was third, yeah. And who's fourth? Chelsea.
Correct.
Chelsea, yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah. He's in Champions League this year, but he probably felt I should probably have like maybe 20 goals in the Champions League at this point. I should be on my way to Real Madrid. I should be like, this Kylian Mbappe fella isn't working out. You know, he first be on their wing. I could be that guy. I can be up front. But I don't think it's very panning out for him that way. That I'm guessing here. I have no idea. Like, I have no idea why he'd want to leave Newcastle if he's on good money. Maybe he's fallen out anyhow. But there's no word of this. It just kind of feels out of the blue. There was kind of talk like he's going to go this summer just because of where Newcastle are. But all through the season, it wasn't kind of like, oh, he's making. Yeah, he didn't do any mad interviews during the year, but like, you know, you never know if certain clubs came knocking. He was very much just scored a load of goals, played very well, and he's like, yeah, and we'll wait for the offers to roll in, and maybe they just didn't roll in.
But that's the weird thing, is because they did roll in from Liverpool, and there was like that big fuck off thing where Newcastle basically said, look, give us 150 million or whatever the crazy number that was put on him was. And Liverpool went and they bought Ekitike. And it's like, right, that's the end of that. But then after Liverpool have spent all that money, that's when Isak is like, I actually do want to leave. It's like, you should have said that a week ago. Liverpool would, like, you could have probably got your price down a bit if you were like, well, I'm not going to kick a ball if you don't let me go to Liverpool. You probably could have got it done. But now it's so much more complicated because it's like, well, your replacement, who Newcastle were also in for Ekitike, now is also playing for Liverpool. So either they get both of you and we get nothing here, or you're staying.
Which was new, again, from the headlines I read, That was Liverpool's plan to rattle the cage. It's like, we'll buy a replacement and then you'll lose him as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got Isak in on this because I don't think it suits him. If I was Ekitike now, I'd be refreshing Fabrizio all the time. Like, this is bad for me.
This is bad.
This is going to be like a Demba Ba and Papi Cisse situation, you know? Just tie it back into Newcastle. Two strikers playing the same position. They can't really play together. You know, we're too weak in midfield if we do that. I really don't see how it works out. Or even a more contemporary reference for anybody under the age of 32. Mbappe and Vinicius. You know, it works to an extent, but, you know, against the best teams, maybe it's not the best. So I don't know. I don't see how this gets resolved in a way that's good. Because, okay, in scenario one, Liverpool buy him. Now they have two. I don't think that's great. Because you're obviously going to play Salah. And then you got Gakpo as well. And Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz is still there, I think.
I think Luis Diaz has got a here we go today to Bayern Munich.
Oh, really?
For £70 million. I don't know how they do it.
I mean, I'd say he's probably worth that. Bayern Munich are brave to go back in for another Liverpool winger after Mane.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't go around punching anyone.
Nevertheless, I think there's still too many attacking players in that Liverpool squad. Having never watched Ekitike for a second in my life, I just don't think it's going to work, Will. I just don't think they can play together.
No, I don't. The warning signs are there. But it's also that they've already spent whatever it is, 300 million. Or so it's like, to get Isak in as well, then you're really like, you're the bad guys now. You're like, I don't recall City, maybe now they probably did, but like, I don't recall them spending 420 million in one summer, openly anyway.
Well, I mean, they spent that probably over the last 10 years anyways. They probably spent a lot. But no, let's not get into that. Let's not get into who spent more and when. I don't think they care about that. Bad guys, good guys. You know, they want to win the league. If they think they'll have them win the league again, they'll do it. But I don't know if that's going to work. And again, like, Newcastle really can't afford to do that now at this point. They can't really afford to let Isak go.
Who do they get?
Unless they have someone else to sign, which maybe they do. I mean, there's obviously a lot of players around. But that's scenario one. Liverpool spent another 150 million. Two strikers in the same position. Newcastle, nobody. I don't know who's happy there, really. You know, Liverpool, Isak, Ekitike, Newcastle. I think everyone's losing that scenario. The second scenario is just nothing happens, and then Isak has to go back.
Yeah.
Suck it up. And the crowd are like, this guy openly did not come on the tour, tried to leave.
Yeah.
He also want to be here.
He then didn't go on the tour, which means he hasn't had a preseason, you'd assume.
So he'll not play the first game. The camera will keep panning to him in the stands when they're down 1-0. It's going to be the whole thing, you know. So in that scenario, yeah, Newcastle and Isak are losers. I mean, this is what Isak is thinking. This is what's called forcing a move. This is why you do it, because you're in an untenable situation here. You have to sell me. You can't keep me here after I do this. Yeah. Surely.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's good for him in this situation.
Yeah, but it's a different world now, because before players would force moves and you'd have your pick of teams that are willing to just throw whatever money at anything. I mean, Isak to Man United would have been all over that a few years ago. That makes all the sense in the world. Big money star. They can't afford him anymore. So I think immediately clubs like Man United, and I think it was Spurs, maybe another club, were putting out statements through their journalists being like, just so everyone knows, we're not getting involved in the Isak thing. Can't afford that. We'll never be able to afford that this summer. So don't get excited. Stop tweeting us. Yeah,
stop saying announce Isak, please. It's never, ever going to happen. This Isak, the next Isak, the Isak after that, that's never going to happen for this club. Yeah, it's like the reverse of those, not the reverse, but you know those the deadline day. This is deadline day heritage. It's Dagenham Redbridge will not be signing Aguero, you know. It's actual clubs who in the past would have been as we will not be signing Isak. It's that's not even funny. That's just, really, really depressing. So yeah, I don't know where that's going to end, Will. I my gut would feel that it's going to have to be sucked up. Unless he just says, fuck it, I can't go back there. Can't deal with that. Saudi. You know?
I mean,
and obviously there's a Saudi connection there, so I mean.
And it's not
But then, I don't know.
Because we did see, I think at the start of the Saudi league buying up players, we were like, there goes that player, that's the end of his career. But we've seen now a few times, you can go over there, get big money, sometimes not even get the money, But you can go over there for like 4 months and then come January be like, right, now to go to the club I actually want.
Yeah, but I guess it is all kind of the same thing. Newcastle, Saudi owned Newcastle and Saudi owned Saudi clubs. So that probably, as I say, that doesn't make any sense. So that probably won't happen. So yeah, I think he's probably going to stay in Newcastle. He get a pretty cold reception.
Yeah.
But once he starts banging goals again, they're like, good, but is he going to do it again this summer? It's never going to be the same. That's how I feel about this. I think he's lost the fans tonight. So yeah, we'll see. What else was there? There was Nottingham Forest, who had a pretty busy window so far. Full disclosure, I was looking up their transfers this year because I wanted to buy Ola Ina in fantasy football. I know he's good last year. I was like, well, I knew they sold Alanga. I was like, well, that'll make them worse. Who else have they sold? Because again, Morgan Gibbs White, we'll get that a little later. But I was looking at their transfers. Very strange. Strange few transfers. They bought Igor Jesus and Jair Cunha for 19 million and 12 million respectively, both from Botafogo. I was like, that's strange. You rarely see Botafogo players being bought straight to the Premier League. Then look at the departures. Danilo, he was sold to Botafogo for 23 million.
A lot of Botafogo going on here, yeah.
A lot of back and forth to Botafogo. I was like, Danilo, I don't remember Danilo very much last year. I remember Ryan Yates and Rillo and Chris Wood, of course, and who's got Morgan Gibbs White. They were the stars. Danilo, I don't remember him being, even an unsung hero of the team last year. So I looked it up. How many games did he play last year? He played 8 Premier League games last year and 5 FA Cup games. So a cup player, really. For the most part, he had a broken ankle at the start of last season, so maybe he had planned to be, more of a feature. But nevertheless, you come back from broken ankle, played 8 kind of games that of not much note, and then you get sold to Brazil for 23 million, and you're buying players back. Like, what's going on here? So just a quick Google search, and Marinakis 10%. Interest in Botafogo. Who owns the rest, you might say? Well, it's John Textor, of course.
I've heard those two names.
The same Homer Simpson. Yeah, the same John Textor, who has recently resigned from his Leon role and sold his Crystal Palace ownership. He was the guy who, I don't know, was it him specifically, who forgot to do the paperwork that meant Crystal Palace's FA Cup win. Great day, great win, great trophy, but no Europa League because the paperwork wasn't filed for the multi-club ownership thing, which does kind of strike me as weird. It's either bad or it's not. Registering correctly shouldn't be the bad bit. You shouldn't allow it or whatever. So yeah, he's good friends with Marinakis, apparently, and this is more for the Marinakis group. I've been reading online that Igor Jesus and Jair Cunha, you probably won't see them as stars of the Premier League this year. Considering he played 10 league games for Botafogo last year, he's probably going to end up at either Lyon or Olympiacos, I'd imagine. But that's kind of the small stuff, I guess, when it comes to Nottingham Forest. But it's just, I guess it's interesting enough, the whole multi-club ownership, because we have seen a bit of it. Who's it? Was it Bose? Not Bose. Who's Irish team?
Is it Drogheda?
Drogheda, sorry. Drogheda. They were meant to be in the first round of the Champions League, the qualifying round of the Champions League?
Well, it was some level of European football that they had qualified for winning the FAI Cup. And we're told, no.
The Conference League, perhaps, but that was multi-club ownership.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And it came up again with Crystal Palace, the multi-club ownership. It's kind of, the only time I heard of it really was City, where it was, because I had New York City, Melbourne City? One of the Australian cities.
They were doing that for a bit, where they would rebrand the clubs. which I think they've stopped doing because they probably realise this makes it very obvious what we're doing.
Well, it was who was it? Frank Lampard went after Chelsea. You know, thanks for the memories. Went to New York City FC, and then loaned back to Manchester City from the parent club. Like, okay, well, we would never have sold the City. That obviously would never have happened. And then he scored a goal against Chelsea in that game. It was like, okay, and that's what was like putting the main stage for me. Obviously, there's the Red Bull thing.
Yeah,
from it, but I haven't heard of it, you know, being an issue for a while. But yeah, it's kind of come up again this summer with multiple clubs being like, yeah, you're pushing the limits here of what's allowed with this multi-club ownership thing. And yeah, I don't know what it means for the game. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, you know, I guess it's always this kind of acceptance as professional sport. It's owned by billionaires, but you know, it's entertaining and it's fun to watch, so I can kind of ignore it. But if they do kind of corner the market this way, and it just starts to,
there's like 5 clubs in the world.
Yeah, you don't want to become like wrestling, where it's almost like
yeah.
not scripted, but it's an inevitability because there's like 6 owners. You know, they all just become conglomerates, and it's like, yeah, you're just owned by that thing, and they're not going to let that club win because of their relationship outside of football with this owner. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a bit of a stretch. It's a bit conspiratorial, but forgive me for not trusting FIFA to regulate this properly. You know, to make sure this doesn't happen. Yeah,
because I mean, I think the interesting thing about that whole web is that Crystal Palace obviously are not in the Europa League now because of John Textor's shares, which he sold. The club that benefited from that and now are in the Europa League is Marinakis and Nottingham Forest. They're in the Europa League. And we've just established John Textor and Marinakis have a great working relationship.
And they're trafficking players back and forth to balance each other's books.
There's players going around the place. There's clubs not being allowed to play in Europe, but it's all right because your club can play in Europe and I've got 3 Brazilians coming your way.
And this is the thing. This is like, you know, that kind of hack joke where it's like, you know, let the Olympics use drugs.
Yeah.
You know, let's see a man run in 7 seconds. It's like, yeah, and it's fine. It's a joke. It's not that funny. But like in a real way, it's like, why don't we have a drug Olympics and stuff? Because it's like, it's people who will be, you know, the most vulnerable people in society, you know, come from poor backgrounds. They're the ones who will be affected by this the worst. They're the ones who will be used as like test tubes, you know, or hamsters, whatever. Like, and they'll do it for the money because they got nothing else. Like, it's players that who come from Brazil, come from Botafogo, who are like, Igor Jesus is 24. He's thinking, I'm never going to make it. It's like, good news. You're heading to the Premier League, you know, but he's really going to be bounced around Olympiacos and Lyon for the next few years. And it's like, he probably is a talented footballer. You know, he has to be talented at some level, but like, he's better off having a professional career in Brazil and being a professional footballer there than to think that he's going to become a star in Europe. You know what I mean? Which is like, as a footballer, how can you turn that down? How can you say, I don't trust this guy? You know, so it's like, that's who the real problem is here. Again, it's like, sure, what does it matter to you if Crystal Palace aren't in the Europa League? It's just, it's players like that you see who are going to be kind of bounced around. It's like, they're the ones that are going to suffer from it. And
yeah.
You don't want to see that.
I mean, also as well, it's kind of like the VAR in a way where it's like, it does just make the game a bit less enjoyable, not just because of like the monopoly of 5 clubs owning the game, but also just because it's like, it used to just be, you win this competition, you're now in this competition. Now it's like Crystal Palace not being allowed to play in the Europa League because of paperwork is insane.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess that is a part of it too. But that to me, again, this tinfoil hat never comes off in the show, but it just feels a bit strange that he would miss the paperwork. He doesn't. Now, to be fair, I just read that he runs the day-to-day operations of Lyon, and they're in 480 million euro of debt, and he said he was proud of his achievements. So maybe he's just a complete spoofer and has no idea what he's doing. Yeah. But like, it just seems strange. Like that surely must be high on the list. Like, when you're in the FA Cup final, it's like, okay, look, this is what happens if we win. This happens if we lose. You know.
I know. I do think his argument is that you know, you have to. This paperwork has to be sent by like March or February or something. So, you're a long way off the FA Cup final. But even still, it shouldn't be a like Don't forget to fill that in. These things should all, like, you should have a guy whose job it is to just do all the paperwork and fill all these things in. And I would agree, it's like, I don't know, something fishy there. But we have seen in football a lot, the owners sometimes are as dumb as it looks. Like, we've seen that loads where it's like, well, there's no way any competent man would do that. And it happens all the time. They make the worst decisions.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I'm too hungry for a conspiracy. I haven't had one in a while. I've had a good one in a while. My last two last week completely fell flat in their face while I was talking. So that was. I'm still in the hunt. I'm still looking for that.
We'll get one.
Look, I'd be worried if I wasn't getting the conspiracies. Will you know?
Yeah.
One of the ones that I missed. I'd be worried if I wasn't making them up. You know. As long as you're throwing out stuff here, as long as you're throwing shit, some of it will stick. So anyways, Nottingham Forest, small time stuff, you know, players being trafficked. Who cares about that, you know? What about Tottenham's central midfield problem? They've sold Højbjerg. They've sold Højbjerg. They need to replace him with the hottest new English star, Morgan Gibbs White, as we said. You know, was he at Wolves? I think he was at Wolves.
Ooh, that sounds
Wolves,
right.
Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, Real Madrid. That's what he wants. That's his dream, folks. Don't laugh at it. That's what he wants to do. But you know, last week we talked about Marinakis saying, "Come on, Tottenham, really? That ain't right." We said big club, and I know that's kind of a vague term, but you know that's not Tottenham. So I guess they had some crisis talks, and they struck a deal. They struck a deal.
I mean,
Marinakis.
They struck a deal, and look, there's no point in us trying to sum it up. Let's just roll the clip. Let's see Marinakis and Morgan Gibbs White explain what happened and what they were thinking themselves.
I would never let anybody from any other team try to get a player from us or make something that we don't agree. And especially, as I said, with some guys that they belong to our family. Therefore, with Morgan, didn't take long to come to an agreement. It was a very short conversation, full of passion and love for the club. So when you have passion, when you have love for something, it's a matter of a few seconds to agree. And all our supporters should know that this guy loves the club.
I'm delighted. So thank you to Mr Marinakis for believing in me. I feel like we've been on a roller coaster of a journey, but I've felt the love instantly from the very first moment I stepped into the doors. We've had difficult times, but we've had a lot of highs. And last year was really, really exciting. We got to showcase what we're about and what we're trying to build as a team. And I feel like Mr Marinakis is the base of that. So I was delighted to sign.
I think this new contract really shows the ambition, not just of yourself, but of Mr Marinakis here as well. That ambition must just drive through the dressing room, right?
100%. And you know, Mr Marinakis is the main reason for that. We've built that culture inside the dressing room, and I feel like that's what strived us all the way through.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it didn't seem too bad. I mean, Mr Marinakis seemed like he just swayed him with love.
Yeah, love. It was a very short conversation full of passion. That sounds to me like he fucking ripped his head off.
I'd say he offered him a huge number. That's why it was so short. He's like, done. Forget Real Madrid. Nottingham Forest.
Tottenham who?
Yeah. Well, I don't feel like he would have got that much of a pay increase at Tottenham. I don't think they pay huge wages. So I think it was probably like, well, and obviously they won the Europa League last year. And historically, they're a top six club, as we keep hearing.
Yeah.
The top six. But they are, you know, like, you know, if you were to say who's going to be definitely in the Premier League in the next 10 years, Tottenham or Nottingham Forest, you know, for in Morgan Gibbs White's view of it, like, you know, I guess Tottenham is probably a bit more of a safe bet, but yeah, I'd say he gave him more money. I'd say he gave him a shitload more money. And it was like, yeah, do you know what? Forget it. That's enough.
Got John on the phone and he said, I need you to take 3 Brazilians off my hand.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I suppose they have made a loss on that, but they've made a small loss on that thing. They sold for 23 and then 19 and 12. So, I mean, they've made a bit of a loss on that, but they sold a couple other players like, say, Lang and that. So they're in the green for this window. But, yeah, I don't know. It's good for Nottingham Forest.
Good for Nottingham Forest. It is. That video is so strange to me because it's very rare. Like, normally the owners are just like kind of mystic figures that you sometimes see looming over games. It's very strange to see an interview where the owner is obviously standing right beside the player, looking dead into the camera and nodding about like, yes, I am great. But also just to have the interviewer asking so many questions about the owner who's standing right beside him. Very rare you see that.
You don't really see owners on the pitch. Well, that might be about to change, Will. I mean, I'm sure a lot of owners saw the Club World Cup and thought, wow, they're on the pitch now.
I'm allowed to get lifted in the trophy celebration. I didn't know that.
That's nice. I wouldn't mind being on the pitch. I mean, like, if you're a billionaire owner, you're owning the club for, I guess, the crack, to tell your other rich friends, like, yeah, we're doing pretty well actually this season. The team that I own. It's an ego thing. It's, So now, like, I could do interviews, I could be on the pitch. Even better. For some of them do like to be just in the shadows, like that guy who owns Brighton.
Yeah.
Passive income.
What's his deal? Yeah.
The passive income guy. It's a side hustle for him. Brighton. But I think for Marinakis, owning all these clubs, he wants to own all the clubs. Like, that's his dream. I think to just own as many clubs as possible, to be the face of all these things is great. Like, he loves the deal. It was me. I negotiated the deal. I just sat him down, quick meeting. Bing, bang, boom. We got him, folks. It's all about the love of the club. I mean, he loved Nottingham Forest. Does he love the other clubs? Does he love... I mean, I'm assuming they were in Greece there, or they looked like they were in a hot
I'm not
country.
sure, yeah.
They were in Greece. Probably in Olympiacos this time. I bet they were playing Olympiacos. I bet he loves them. I bet he loves Leon.
He loves Botafogo.
He loves Botafogo. He loves John Textor. So I think he just likes to be the main guy, the head honcho. So, yeah, I'd say he offered a lot of money and just wanted to be able to come out and say, yeah, sorted it. Don't worry about it, folks. I sorted it.
And I mean, it is, it must be nice because, again, like, they are not a top 6 club, you'd say, but like, it must be nice.
Not yet.
For Nottingham Forest to be like, we got no one over on Spurs. Like, that's nice.
Well, do you think the Elanga thing had anything to do with this? Because it's told Elanga fairly straightforward. You know what I mean? It's told Newcastle 60 million. And now it's like 60 million to Spurs. No, fuck that.
Yeah, we have
that's
60
disrespectful.
million. Yeah.
It's like, why was that so different? If it had been the other way around, if they sold Morgan Gibbs White first,
yeah,
would he have said, no, fuck that, Newcastle? What if they won? Part of the, part of the Carling Cup or the fucking Carabao Cup? I just think it's like Tottenham won the Europa League. So like, why is that disrespectful? It's like, it's a strange stance to have. No, I think he's right. I don't think they should have lost Langa and Morgan Gibbs White in the same window. I think that would be pretty disastrous for them. Especially if all you're signing is Botafogo players in the summer.
Oh, we've got our fake players.
Oh my God, it's Olympiacos loanees. We got none to replace them.
Shit, we haven't got it around to the real signings yet. We're in big trouble.
They got the right ending for Nottingham Forest. It's definitely the right move for them, but it does seem a bit kind of weird that, like, no, we're not going to sell our players to anybody who isn't going to give us a fair price. Like, he sold them for the exact same price.
You put the release clause in.
I agree Lang is worth more than Gibbs White, so I don't know. I think he's just a shady dude, and like all villains, his downfall will be the spotlight. He'll love the spotlight too much, and he'll get turned that way. If you're doing these kind of multi-club owner stuff, shady stuff, you should not be out doing interviews.
You shouldn't be looking at the camera ever.
Like, I did not know who John Textor was for all this. That's how you meant to do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But once you find out who John Textor is, it's for the wrong reasons. It's like he's selling all his shares in the club for some reason.
He forgot to do the fucking paperwork. He's an idiot. You go, oh, if only I had fill in the form. Yeah, no one would know who I am.
Yeah, and then you start reading John Textor, 480 million in the hole. This guy sucks. This guy's bad. It's like, oh fuck, jig is up. That's how you meant to do it. Once you find out your name, it's too late. Yeah, so I mean, there is transfer news happening. There is different stuff going on, but we decided during the week, because we saw I wouldn't know if you even call it a popular meme format going around, but
I don't know.
I mean, resonated with us for sure.
One of my favorites in a while. Yeah, it's funny because now my TikTok is inundated with it, but I think that's just because I spend so much time looking at them all that it's the algorithm serving me. Like, I don't think this is a huge trend everyone is on.
Yeah, we've created these echo chambers where we only see what we want to see. We don't see what anyone else's point of view. So sometimes that's like real racist stuff. In our case, it's hell yeah rotations.
yeah. A lot of Creed, a lot of Jets, a lot of wrestling. Yeah.
So yeah, Henry hasn't seen this format. It's just like it's a crudely drawn table with like 6 spaces, and in the middle it says "Dream Hell Yeah Rotation." Now you've heard of nightmare blunt rotation. It's just kind of like a positive spin on that, where it's like if you basically pick 6 things that you look at and you go, oh, hell yeah, So we're going to try and do that with football.
Yeah.
So do you want to go first or will I? Well, we're going to do a shared table.
Yeah,
this is the no nonsense hell yeah dream rotation, if you will.
Yeah, we're splitting the table in half. I can go first if you like. Do you want me to do one and you do one? We go back and forth.
Yeah, we'll do 1-on-1.
I'll tell you who I've invited to the table. First off, on my hell yeah rotation, my hell yeah football rotation, I've chosen any clips. I think there's specific ones, but any clips of a camera slowly panning across a 2000s team that features Brazilian players. You know the Milan one
good.
where Ronaldinho's licking his lips, rubbing his hands? You see Roberto Carlos, hands behind the back. Any combination of those boys in a slow pan shot, hell yeah. That's football, baby.
Yeah, legendary players in a slow pan. That is good.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. For me, mine is not as niche that it's a bit simpler than that. It's backflip celebrations.
Yeah, hell yeah.
When someone scores a goal and then they bust out the backflip, because you can never tell that they're all in good shape, but you can never really tell if they're going to have that in the locker, especially if it's an international game. That's the best ones because you've no idea who the players are.
Yeah.
You're watching this. Someone scores a screamer, like, wow, and then it cuts to them doing backflips, like, whoa. It just really elevates the whole thing.
There's an added element to the backflip, hell yeah, as well, where these players, they're worth so much money. There's so much on the line. To risk that just by flipping around the place is an extra layer.
I remember that happened to Natty. He started getting pain in the small of his back because he was doing backflips, and it said, "Stop doing backflips. You're endangering your multi-million-pound career here by doing backflips." So yeah, I mean, I think if you have that in your locker to bust out, I love it. I love it every time.
Yeah. My second one here, then I have players scoring from the halfway line, not just above the halfway line, not behind it. It rarely happens, but you see it now and again. A player chipping the goalie from the halfway line. It's like a child's idea of what a good footballer can do. I always think that is sick.
Yeah, it is. It's a great replay. Always, it's always unexpected in the game too, because like you're only watching the game, you can never see the keeper's line.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Oh, it's happening, and then the goalie's like pedaling back, like, oh yeah, it could happen, and then it goes in. It's like, oh yes, it's so satisfying to see someone like, because it is always out of nowhere, because they're just like in the middle of the pitch, and they have to do it fast, and they're just like they lash it, and it's like, oh, please go in, and when it does, it's like that was amazing. Because that's a great hell yeah,
because that's what you're watching football for. Like, yeah, we like what the goal, but like you're watching for a moment like that rarely ever happens. Most of the rest of the game is just kind of passing it around, waiting for something to happen. So when that does happen out of nowhere, it's like, this is what I watch it for.
Yeah. My second one, again, it's simple enough. It's just goals scored on the half volley.
Oh yeah,
the real
pile
driver ones. I'm thinking of like the Tony Yeboah one. That Premier League years one. It just catches in the half volley and like rises into the net.
Rising, yeah. The ball. If the ball is going that direction, to get it into the net is insane.
Yeah. Even when you catch the ball yourself on a half volley. Yeah. I mean, it's a great feeling. Just the something about the power you can generate from a half volley. It's a real hell yeah when I see it, when I do it. So yeah, just basically half volleys.
Half volleys, hell yeah. My final one here, I have Zidane ending his career by headbutting Materazzi in the chest in a World Cup final.
Yeah, I mean, I do have mixed emotions about that one. It is, you know what? It's quite sad in a way because like, oh, it would have been nice for a fairy tale ending for him to win the World Cup again. You know, something about him though. I think something about like winners like that, great players. You just, you know, I guess he never played in the Premier League as well, so there's nothing like that. Again, someone from didn't hurt you personally. Watching a great player, they can't win enough. You love to see them win because you feel like they deserve it because they're so good. But so that was kind of heartbreaking, really, to see him like do that. But yeah, as you get older and become more self-destructive yourself, you go, yeah,
that's sick. I mean, he threw it all away. Man. He just threw it all away to headbutt a man, not in the head, too. I mean, it's been talked to death, but my God, headbutting a man in the chest is one of the craziest things you can do.
Yeah. Well, I think if you headbutt him in the nose, like split him open, it takes on a different
disgusting
life.
behavior.
It's like,
Zidane, not a good man, ended in disgrace. Headbutt in the chest, kind of funny.
It is kind of funny. It's real psycho stuff, you know.
Because you're like, the heart, yeah.
Well, it's like, you know, you shouldn't do it. So this is what you would call restraint. You know what I mean? This is what you settled on. Instead of like, you know, choking him out or headbutting him in the head, you're trying to pull back, so you end up head in the chest. And you're like, well, you've done neither now. You're so mental. You've still fucked it, but in a way that didn't do anything. You've just fucked it for yourself. And yeah, it's real psycho vibe. So yeah, I don't know if that's a hell yeah, but it's something. It's some kind of emotion of like, damn, to do that. It's
and again,
it's pretty out there.
Last ever game, World Cup final.
Yeah, it's more on the wrestling side of hell yeah, where it's
yeah. It's a good spot. Yeah.
The last one I had, Panenka's.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because it's again like the chip, like the halfway line chip. You're just never expecting it.
Yeah.
You know, and then when the keeper goes down and it floats in, you go, that was good. Yeah, and you respect the courage to do that in a penalty shootout, even in not a penalty shootout, but like just in a game where it's like, this is a free shot, a 1-on-1 chance, and you're going to chip it down the middle. Yeah. That is a hell yeah.
It's like literally one of the last truly humiliating things you can do in the game, I think, at that high a level. And again, it's like a free goal, like you said, and you're using that moment to go, I'm going to make this keeper look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. I remember the one Pirlo did for Italy against England. And Joe Hart, not the most, I mean, I'd take Joe Hart every day over Pickford.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, not a likable guy by any stretch of imagination, really, Joe Hart. You know, in goalies generally are kind of that way or the other, I suppose. But he was very much kind of like shouty, kind of, you know, getting their head by being obnoxious kind of thing. Which, you know, he was very good at pretending to be obnoxious if he was pretending. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was doing all this, and he was, I don't know if he had saved a couple before or not. I don't think he did. But he was doing a lot, doing too much in the goal. And then Pirlo just chips down the middle, and everyone's like, that's what he deserves.
Yeah.
That's what he gets. Yeah. But afterwards, Pirlo was like, I just knew that he was way too hyped up.
Yeah, he's not going to stand still.
One direction.
Yeah, no way.
So I thought, I will definitely score if I do this. If I try and place in the corner, he's going to like leap like a salmon to either side, so I might get it wrong. If I chip it, he's definitely going one way, so he's not getting back. But it is humiliating, and it's just so impressive. So impressive to chip down the middle like that.
Yeah, because you have to be ice cold to do it. That's a pretty good hell yeah table, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I think I'd say that table for a bit.
Yeah, like any of these hell yeah tables, good and small doses. I'd say you don't want to stay there too long.
Yeah, a little bit too much for a 3-course meal, maybe. You know, too much energy. I'm getting too hyped during the meal.
The entire 2000 AC Milan team are here,
just lined up, yeah. not even talking, just waiting for the anthem, waiting for the Champions League anthem to finish. Yeah, that's that does it, folks. We're coming close to the start of the season.
3 weeks away, I think.
3 weeks away, which does mean the summer's ending. Whatever that means for you. I know it doesn't mean anything for me.
Used to be a big thing, yeah. Now not so much.
Yeah,
more of the same, really.
Obviously, it's going to get darker sooner, so that'll be depressing.
Bad, yeah.
But the football will be back. You know, we got the football the weekends. Yeah, we'll be covering all the football this year.
All of it. Every bit of it. Yep.
So yeah, we'll keep you updated with the whole Isak situation. What's going to happen there? Who knows? One of two things probably.
Yeah, what the hell is going on there? Who is John Textor? We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll have a big a preview episode in a couple weeks as well. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I suppose stay with us. We'll be covering all the news, the updates. I haven't heard any of the rule changes.
Yeah, there was some coming in to do with VAR, but I think it was, the Premier League is always a bit behind on the VAR stuff. I don't think they're coming here. I saw in La Liga they're introducing a rule change, or they're trying to bring in a rule change where each manager has 2 VAR calls they can make in a game. And if their VAR call is successful,
a challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if their VAR call is successful, they keep their VAR calls. They don't lose it. Which that to me sounds good in theory. I think it's going to be used for a lot of time wasting more than anything. Yeah,
well, there'll always be a bit of that. Like blood subs or, head injuries. There's always some kind of stuff where it's like, he was hitting the head. But if it's a net gain, then it can be good for the game. So we'll see. That might come in November, maybe. They'll bring it in. And then they'll get it by March.
Second half of the season. Yeah. After a particularly bad game with VAR calls, they'll bring it in.
Midway through the Christmas period, they'll bring it in. That'll sort it out.
And it'll result in, I don't know, Crystal Palace maybe getting relegated, one of them.
No one's ever done the numbers on those. There's been a few rules that came in the middle of the season and it's affected different teams differently, and no one's ever really done the numbers on, like a deep dive on what's affected. But
it's never Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal that gets it, I'd say.
You don't think the Arsenal are affected by the descent rule? That sure will. You want to open that can of worms again? Is that what you just said to the listeners right now?
Are we still talking about this?
Yeah, look, we'll be covering whatever happens the next few weeks. Big season preview, and then Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, all that good stuff all throughout the season. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next week. Good luck.
No, honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense.
They say many garbage things.
You don't know what you're going to get.